Hello, AJ76 Ian here, and this is AOR Racing Tier F8, round 12 of the championship in Hungary. We've qualified 11th on the grid out of 15 drivers. McQuiz is on pole, new driver from F7 Buford National as alongside him. Denzamo's third, and we get an okay start. Caddy Demis gets a great start ahead in the Williams, but already alongside us and through is Noodle Dougal with a lightning start in the McLaren, and we're in the middle of the track, which is probably not the best, safest place to be, as Noodle Dougal goes piling down the inside, outbrakes himself, hits Washi. Washi taps us. We don't get any damage, but we've made up a couple of places to 9th already without really doing anything. And there's a big scrap going on ahead between about 4 drivers, and Jason runs very wide there in the Red Bull, and we thought about going around the outside of him here, but I wasn't sure that perhaps he'd seen us, so I backed off. But that allows Washi to get a run on us up the hill to this really fast, challenging left-hander. And at this point, as he runs really wide there, I was beginning to wonder whether he had wing damage. It turns out he did, but he's a quick driver even with damaged wings. So we tried to follow him through here and try and make up some more positions, but qualifying was slightly disappointing. 11th, 10th and 11th is about where we normally qualify, to be fair, but it could have been so much better. Our banker lap, which was a 1:19.978, was our first lap, and the next 2 laps I was sure I could go a lot quicker. The first one I spun, and then the second one I invalidated the time, and the time I would have got would have been about 1:19.5, which would have put us around about 7th place. So an opportunity wasted in qualifying. But we now know that Washi has got damaged wings, as 2 drivers, Zeke and somebody else, I didn't quite catch that, has crashed. So we're up to 8th place. No, we're 7th place with Washi's problems. Now moving forward to lap 12, not a lot happened in the first 12 laps for us. We were kind of a few seconds behind Jason in front, and a long way ahead of Daniel UK behind, so not really any battles. But now we've got Honk Donk, another new driver that's moved down from F7, who's a quick guy in the Red Bull. He's got in our slipstream. We're not going to defend too hard at this point because we're trying to look for a switchback here. Hope that he runs deep, but he does that beautifully, and we've dropped down to 6th place at this point during the pit stops. So lap 14, and we come in for our scheduled pit stop. We stretched this out a couple of laps longer than we initially had planned, but I made a mistake with the tyre strategy. I forgot that if you qualify outside the top 10, you can choose your starting tyres. You don't have to start with the tyres that you qualified on. So I just went with the default strategy that it gave me, and didn't really pay attention to the fact I was starting on softs when I wanted to start on super softs. In the end, I don't think it made a great deal of difference, although we never ran the quickest tyre, because we did plan to one stop onto mediums around this point anyway. And we're going to come out in 10th place because Danny UK, who was a few seconds behind us before the pit stop phase started, has done a better job and done an undercut on us. So lap 18, we're in 9th place, but we're chasing down Danny UK, who's on the faster soft tyres, but he runs really wide. I think he's on some really old tyres here, so he's struggling to put the power down. He's struggling to get the car turned into the corners, and this is an opportunity for us to make a genuine overtake on track. So this is the very next lap, on lap 19, through this series of sweeping left and right corners in the middle sector of the lap, and he's really struggling. Runs really wide here, so this is our opportunity to get down the inside, and it's going to be who breaks the latest. Similar, Daniel UK breaks pretty well, but he gets better traction and gets back in front of us. But here on the penultimate corner, he runs really wide. We're able to just slip up the inside quite easily, and in the background in the mirrors you can see he actually goes off and taps the barrier. Lap 21, now this was the point where it was clear we didn't have anyone ready to battle in front, but our teammate Zeke, who's very quick, out of position really in 9th, is 15 seconds behind us, and he potentially could close that gap in the remaining laps. Lap 29, Zeke hasn't caught us yet, but he has been closing down on us. But this is the battle we have with Danny UK, who's actually looking to unlap himself. Although I'm not obliged to necessarily let him through, he was making me a bit nervous, so I thought really he's a quicker guy. It's not going to cause us any problems if we let him through. So you can see he really is wanting to get by us. So we're not really defending, but on the straight we're just going to ease out of the throttle part way down the straight here. He goes past us quite close, and this is the point where we eased off the throttle to let him through. Lap 33, and I haven't pushed early enough because I'm now doing some of my quickest times of the race, but I should have been doing it earlier because Zeke has now caught us, so it's too little too late. So poor race management there in terms of my pace, but Zeke is getting very close to us indeed. We moved to the inside a bit too early. He's not really close enough, as Denzama, who was fighting for potentially a win, certainly a podium, has had a problem with the back marker, and he's come into the pit, so he comes out in 7th, and Zeke takes advantage of that and goes through to take us, and he'll now chase Denzamo down for 7th. Zeke runs wide. We're on the same tyres as Zeke, but he's a quicker driver, so the only chance we've got of really moving up is if these two have a coming together. And here's a crucial mistake. I go cut the inside of the corner and I get a 3-second penalty, and that will prove really crucial later on. So coming up here on the last lap, we're actually going to finish a few seconds behind Zeke, but we didn't realise he had a 6-second time penalty. So if we hadn't had that 3-second time penalty, I think we probably would have got 8th. As we come through the final corner, Daniel UK has run out of fuel, and luckily we're observant enough to not crash into the back of him. So another 9th place finish for us. A reasonable race. So the top 3 was McQuiz, 2nd in the championship. 2nd place was Boniface in the McLaren, and 3rd in the Toro Rosso was our championship leader Washi. But it's getting pretty tight at the top because the championship standings are now much closer than they have ever been. Washi is leading with a 179, McQuiz on 163, Denzamo in 3rd on 123. As you can see, there were 15 drivers started, actually 13 finished. And there are our results: 6, 4, 6, 7, 9, 6, 9, 7, 9, 9, 9. I'm thoroughly fed up with finishing 9th. Next up, it's the Belgian Grand Prix from Spa next Sunday.